We're coming up to the 6th Sunday of Easter, just 2 weeks to Pentecost, and the readings, in one way or another, are all about the very life of God in us as the church. The Acts of the Apostles tells the crazy, unlikely story of the early days of the church, where the Holy Spirit was totally in charge. Then John's Gospel invites us to realise that when the Holy Spirit is sent into our hearts, we will realise that we live a new life united with the Holy Spirit. So, the first reading. Philip, one of the early deacons, ends up preaching in Samaria, working miracles among the people there and driving out evil spirits. The only reason he was there was because they were persecuted in Jerusalem. Stephen had been stoned to death and the rest of them had fled for their own safety. That could easily have been the end of the whole thing. How were they going to survive that? For Christians, disaster is never the end. They are crushed on one side and new life breaks out on the other, where nobody would have expected it. The Samaritans accepting Jesus as their Lord, being filled with the Holy Spirit. Remember, the wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. So the invitation to us Christians, all Christians, is to enter into that space where the Holy Spirit is in charge. In that space, disaster and setback and even our own sin do not have the last word. That was how it was in the early church, reeling from disaster and persecution and adversity and its own shortcomings. And it is true for us, for the church in our day, confused, divided, shaken by the shortcomings of its members and even of its leaders. The Holy Spirit is in charge, and if there is dying out on one side, there will be new life breaking out somewhere else. That's the faith. Humanly speaking, it's hard to live like that. But let's listen to a few words from the Gospel, from John 14. Jesus says, "I shall ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to be with you forever, that Spirit of truth whom the world can never receive. Since it neither sees nor knows him, but you know him, because he is with you, he is in you." John's Gospel speaks about the world that does not receive the Spirit, that can't know him or recognize his activity. The world refers to that force, that tendency in human hearts that resists faith, hope, and love. Let's be honest. Sometimes, often, you and I, are in the world. We're blind to the presence and action of the Holy Spirit all around us. But Jesus is inviting us to a new life. Just listen again. "I will not leave you orphans. I will come back to you. In a short time, the world will no longer see me, but you will see me because I live and you will live." Then listen to this. "On that day you will understand that I am in the Father, and you in me, and I in you." This is a time in the Church's year when we are asked to think about the Holy Trinity as a reality to do with our lives. The three divine persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, have this unique relationship where they are distinct, but they are one and live in one another. But almost more amazing is the suggestion that our relationship with God is an extension of this. Listen again to Jesus. "When the Spirit comes on that day, you will understand that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you." Do you see where he's just drawing us in to be part of the very life of God? It's almost too much for us to take in. It is already the case that you and I live in God, and we have God living in us in a way that is not unlike how the Father, the Son, and the Spirit live in each other. The side of us that is in the world resists this. But on that day, Jesus says, we will understand. For now, just like the early Christians, we are called to live in hope that the Holy Spirit is in charge. He blows wherever he wills, and he knows what he is doing.